Well, happy Sunday, everybody. I was not sure that this was actually going to happen today. I don't know what is going on with the internet in central Alberta today, but it has been a little bit of a challenge for me for whatever reason. But we are here together now, and that's all that matters. So hopefully, this time you are going to be able to see me at the Shining Light on Facebook or this Shining Life on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch. You pick. Because I'm everywhere all at the same time. Kind of like having a split personality, but not. Or something. Okay, so we're going to be doing a few things. Now, I'm redoing what we did last Sunday, and I'm redoing it because for whatever reason, it did not stream on Facebook. It didn't stream properly anywhere. So we are just going to do it again, and we're going to add a couple of little things, but we're going to have some fun doing it. Now, one of the things that I have people say to me all the time is the whole keto thing. There is way too much prep. There's way too much that you have to do to be ready for it. I don't have time to be cooking all day. I don't have time. Okay, so there are ways around that, and you do have to do some prep. There's no doubt about that. A little bit of prep, but you have to do that regardless of if you order out and you order a carb heavy meal, you still have to clean up after it. You still have to get dishes out. You still have to do whatever it is that you're going to do for that takeout food. And I have something in my eye. Oh, there we go. So, one way or the other, when you are eating a meal, hi Del, you are going to be doing some prep and doing some cleanup. So what if you could make it a much healthier choice and you could do almost all the prep on one day in 2 or 3 hours? And I know this is possible because Del drives truck and we get all of his food ready for the week, and it takes us an hour or two, and then it's done. And I get it all packaged up, not in individual meals. He does that in the truck. But it's all packaged up and ready for him to eat his meals wherever he is at whatever time. And he dishes it up, warms it up in the microwave if he needs to, and then he cleans up afterwards. And it does not take a whole lot of time. So the choices are yours. You can make the choice to do keto and address whatever health conditions you have going on, or do keto to avoid health conditions later in life, or you can choose not to. But one way or the other, we're going to do a couple things today that you can do beforehand, and you can have them in a container in your fridge, and they'll be ready to go when you need them with a little bit of help from a microwave. Okay, let's get started. Now, let me see if I can show you my counter. There we go. Okay, very first thing that we are going to do is we have some sliced strawberries. Now, if you are slicing strawberries, don't forget to take the core out. I am dropping my strawberries. So you want to take the core out of your strawberry, because if you don't, you've got that little piece that isn't particularly attractive. It isn't that it tastes terrible. It's just not particularly attractive. Okay, so what we are going to do with this 40 grams of strawberries, 1 tablespoon of powdered erythritol. Now, last week, if you were watching, good morning, Mom. If you watched the live last week that ended up not showing up almost anywhere, you'll remember that I used a granular erythritol. I'm just kind of experimenting a little bit this week to see if this is going to work better or worse or just different, or we'll see what happens. But one way or the other, it will be delicious. And to the 40 grams of strawberries and 1 tablespoon or 15 milliliters. Whoops! Oh, we are going to add apparently a little bit more than 5 mils of white wine vinegar. I actually don't want more because we're going to have some fun with the juice off of that afterwards. Okay, now, this needs to be mixed up and left to sit for at least 15 minutes. We're not going to macerate these strawberries, but we are going to let them sit in the vinegar, let the vinegar pull out some of the juices and mix with the erythritol. And the other thing that we are going to add to this right away, because we want them all working together, is we are going to chiffonade. Now, if you were with me last week, you know what that is. If you were not with me last week, you're going to learn what that is, because we're going to do it right now. Okay, this is basil. And you can put in as much or as little as you like. When we chiffonade, we wrap the leaves up in a little bundle. So everything is all nice and straight, all nice and beautiful. And then, so you see I've got them all stacked up. And then we are going to roll them up so they're nice and tight. If you ever wanted a job making cigars, I guess maybe this would be practice for it, maybe not so much. And then using a sharp knife, we are just going to take the tiniest little slivers off of this, and it just makes beautiful little ribbons of basil. And you can do this with any herb. And so this method of rolling things up and just doing these beautiful little ribbons is called chiffonade. So when you hear somebody say that, or if you have company over and you want to impress them, say, I'll be right back. I must go chiffonade the basil. There you go. They'll be impressed. Or maybe not. I don't know. See, now I've told you all my secrets, so if you were here and I said it, you wouldn't be that impressed. Now, I'm getting down to the end of the basil leaf, and there's a wee little bit of a stalk. You could put that in. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're talking about appearance, it isn't terribly attractive. So we're going to put this in here, and we're going to get this mixed in with the white wine vinegar. Now this is going to bring the flavor of the basil. Basil and strawberry are two things that just go so beautifully together. So we're going to get these in the same bowl with the white wine vinegar and the erythritol, and we're going to leave it sit for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour. Do it the night before, put it in your fridge, whatever works for you. Okay, now we're going to set that aside because it needs to sit. Now the next thing that we have going on here is if you are having eggs for breakfast, you very possibly want bacon to go with it. I know I do. Now this is a few strips of bacon, and if you have limited stove space, you can just throw this in the oven. Now I'm folding these in half because I'm going to show you something fun to do with them later. Now I'm folding the skinny end of the strip of bacon over the fat end of the strip of bacon, just to kind of keep an eye on things. And then we're going to put them in a 350-degree oven until they are as done as you want them. So how do you like your bacon? Now one of the nice things about doing this in the oven is that when you do it in the oven, it renders a lot more of the fat out of the bacon than it would, I guess not, it doesn't render out more than it would if you did it in a pan. It just kind of does it in a different way. Now we are going to put this in a 350-degree oven, and in a few minutes, through the magic of time travel, we will have some bacon that is perfectly done for what we're doing. Okay, now we need to get this party started. Now, one of the things that I hear from people is, I can do without bread any other time, but I really want toast with my eggs. Well, there are ways to do that. Oh, and nice, hot, fresh cup of coffee with hazelnut, sugar-free hazelnut. From Da Vinci. Now, if you came to visit me at the market in Wetaskiwin, Alberta, Rimbey, Alberta, Ponoka, Alberta, Lacombe, Alberta, thank you very much. If you are new to this Shining Lives Live, welcome. Please leave a comment. Let me know where you're from, why you're thinking about doing keto. And I would love to hear how your journey is going or how you would like it to go. Now, this is about a tablespoon, once we're all done mincing it, of chocolate mint. Now, I chose chocolate today. The woman said in the intro that it was going to be eggs, and now she's got strawberry and basil and mint. Just stick with me. You'll see. You will see. So we are going to chop this mint up so that it's nice and fine. And then we are going to add it to the eggs for our omelet. Yes, I am not kidding. And now I have, if you don't know, I have a beautiful mint garden. I have ginger mint and chocolate mint and spearmint and mystery mint. I have an Indian mint and one of my absolute favorites, mojito mint. But chocolate and strawberries go really good together. So are you trying to create a romantic brunch or breakfast? Well, this would work great. Okay, now we have this minced and minced and minced. Now you can keep going. The finer this is, the more flavor you're going to get out of it. Just make sure that when you're using that sharp knife, you don't cut yourself brushing the mint off. Now we want about a tablespoon. Let's see how much we got. That is pretty darn close. I'll take that. Am I going to go out and pick more mint to level off this tablespoon? No, I'm not. If I had chopped this a little coarser, that would have been full. Now I have in this bowl half a teaspoon of vanilla. We're going to add our mint. And I'm going to brush the rest of the mint crumbs into the bowl. And we're going to call that a tablespoon. And then we're just going to get this out of the way. Okay. Now we are adding 2 eggs to this. And where is my little bowl? That's all I need is to end up with eggshells in that mint that I can't see. Now, if you have not been to your local farmer's market to look for strawberries and raspberries and vegetables, I highly recommend that you do it. If you buy produce that is locally grown, you can develop a relationship with that grower, and that can be a huge benefit. You can ask them if they use pesticides. You can ask them how they grow. There we go. You can ask them how they grow their vegetables or their strawberries. Okay, now we're going to get that rinsed out right away because I don't want that egg white to dry on there. And we're just going to leave this mint sitting in here with this egg for a few minutes. And while we do that, we are going to do something else. Now, I have a couple of egg rings, and I'm going to put these in the pan. Now these ones, if you look, they have a little bit of a lip on top, and I gotta tell you, I got these on Amazon, so you can find them on Amazon. I like these because hopefully they're gonna keep the egg where I want it to be. Now I'm gonna turn my, well, I'm gonna try, there we go. I'm gonna turn my burner on 4, let those rings heat up in the pan, because right now they were sitting kind of wonky, so they're a little bit weird, but they'll straighten out. Now I have 30 grams of cheese. I'm going to put approximately 15 grams in each of these egg rings. I thought you said we were cooking eggs. We are cooking eggs, but we are cooking eggs in a fun way that is going to have a beautiful, cheesy, crunchy bottom. And you can cook the eggs as much or as little as you like. Do you like them hard, medium, soft? You can do it however you like. And it doesn't take very much cheese, so we're just going to put a little bit in each ring. And this is going to give our eggs a nice cheesy base. Now I know this pan is still heating up right now, so I'm not going to put the eggs in quite yet. But there we go. We have a nice cheesy base if she doesn't knock the ring off it. Okay, now because this is a magnetic induction burner, this is going to heat up more quickly than an electric burner. Well, I mean, it is electric, but the non-magnetic induction. It heats up the same way as a gas flame. It's instant. So it heats your pan up much more quickly. Okay, now you can see that this cheese is starting to melt, so we know that our pan is getting hot. I can feel that heat. And one of the things that I like about these rings is I can move these little handles down so that the lid that I'm going to put on this, because they're going to be sort of kind of basted. And I sent my bowl away, but that's okay because we have another one. Do we want eggshell in our cheese? No, we don't. Okay, so we're cracking it into a bowl and putting that egg right on here. Now we're going to do egg number 2. Over here, and hopefully now as these eggs cook, this cheese is going to be making a beautiful and yummy little cheese cracker, kind of crunchy like toast. So we're just going to put this one in here. Now these silicone rings are smartening up, but that one was not quite done. Okay, now what do you want on your eggs? Salt, pepper. Now don't forget, the cheese that we just added in there has a little bit of salt in it. So you're not going to be putting as much salt on your eggs as you normally would. And I should have greased those silicone rings. And I didn't, so I guess we're going to find out how that's going to go. A little bit of black pepper, which I'll grab from here. Okay, we're just going to... And of course, this is TSL Organics pepper. And then, with no water, no extra moisture to baste it, we are just going to put that lid right on there, and we're going to let these eggs cook. While the eggs are cooking, that cheese on the bottom is cooking the fat out of it, which is, I know, is totally contradictory to what we want when we're doing keto, but it is going to make a nice, yummy, crispy little cheese bit of magic underneath our eggs. So that's what we're doing. Now, while those are cooking, we're going to keep an eye on it. While those are cooking, we are just going to beat up our omelet. So what we have in here so far is half a teaspoon of vanilla and a tablespoon, give or take, of chocolate mint. Whatever mint you have growing in your garden, whatever mint you can pick up at your grocery store. But really, if you like mint, throw some in your garden. It grows pretty much anywhere, I promise. Okay, if you don't like mint, if you really actively dislike mint, just don't put it in. We still have the strawberry and the basil and the yumminess. Now I'm adding 1 tablespoon or 15 mils of powdered erythritol again, because we're using powdered this week, and a tablespoon of heavy cream. And we will send those away. And we're just going to beat this up. And look at how our eggs are doing in there. Those are beautiful. We're going to add just a wee little bit of salt. About a 1/4 teaspoon of salt is all you need in here. It's just going to enhance the flavor of the mint and the eggs and everything working all together. And these are beautiful. And look at how easy that was. So it's about 15, I mean, how much do you want? You want 15 grams, 20, 30 grams of cheese. You do you. And make sure that you're keeping track of how much you're doing. And that way, you can keep track of your macros. That's important. And these are so close to being done. Now, I'm going to show you, because I've got 2 of them in here, I am just going to send this part away. And we're going to get a big plate here to set these on. Now I'm going to cut, you can see a little bit of the egg has kind of squished out. That is a very technical cooking term, squishing. Now, how done do you like your egg? Is this not done enough? Well, you can leave it in there a little bit longer. Is it too done? Well, I don't know what would be. How hot is that? Good, I can still. Now you want to make sure that you get your flipper under the egg yolk if your yolk is soft, so that it doesn't break. So there's one. And we'll turn this off. And look at how quickly this is going. How fast could you have this done for brunch if you were having people over? And if you're having people come over and you need it for more than 1 or 2 people, if you have a griddle, you could do it on there. Whoops. You can definitely trim the edges of this, but I want to show you. Look at that beautiful, crunchy little bit of or cheese magic on the bottom. Now we're going to send this whole frying pan away because we are not going to need it again. But look at this. I am going to, you guys make a close-up of this. Now you can just fold this over. It would continue cooking your yolk. So if your yolk is where you want it, maybe you don't want to. If you want to make sure that this cheese stays crunchy, as long as you've very carefully taken it out of your pan, you can set it on a cooling rack. Setting it on a plate like this, if it's left for more than a minute or 2, this cheese is going to not be as crunchy as it would be. Okay, so there we have these 2 beautiful cheesy eggs that are just going to amaze everybody, and they're not going to have any idea where you came up with this wonderful magic. And you certainly do not have to give me any credit. I just am a little bit of a cheese fiend. So we're going to set these back here. Now we are going to get busy with our omelet. Wonder how our bacon is doing. Should we take a look at our bacon? I'm thinking maybe we should. Now it has only been in there a few minutes, but it's coming along. And look at all of that beautiful bacon fat that we are going to have to add to our bacon fat collection so that we can cook everything in it. Okay. Now, onwards and upwards. So we have our salt, vanilla, sugar, chocolate mint, eggs, and we are going to turn this on 2 or 3. Omelets are not supposed to be browned or crispy, or they're supposed to be cooked very, very gently, so they're beautiful and tender. When you have something like mint mixed in, whether it's mint or fresh parsley, any kind of herb, then it becomes even more important that you cook it gently because you don't want that herb to burn. So we are just going to let this pan heat up a little bit, get this handle over here so you don't have to worry about anybody catching it as they walk by. That is one of my pet peeves. That is a huge safety thing in a kitchen. Always make sure your pot handles or frying pan handles are flipped in. Now, because we have this pan turned down so low, we're going to add about half a tablespoon of butter. And we're not going to burn this butter because we have our heat so low. So as soon as this butter is melted, we'll know that this pan is good to put our eggs in. And you can see that it's starting to just sizzle a little bit, but it isn't going crazy and melting really fast. Now this pan, I have to be careful. You don't want to be using metal implements in this pan, and I really am loving these. I don't use nonstick pans for doing meat. I want a nice crust. I want that caramelization on there. But for this, because I want this to come out of the pan very easily. Okay, now we're going to take all of this goodness that we have in the bowl. And remember, this is a 2-egg omelet. And you are going to be amazed at how filling this omelet is. Okay. Now, we're going to send that away. And we are just going to let this cook. Now, what size eggs do you use? Small, medium, large, extra large? That's going to make a difference. Are you using eggs that you got from your local farmer's market? They might be all different sizes. So it makes a little bit of a difference when you are cooking an omelet like this as to how it's going to cook, because one egg might be 55 grams and the extra large one might be 70 grams or 75 grams. I don't know. But just keep an eye on this, and you'll see right around the edge is already starting to turn white. And I don't know whether you guys can see this or not, but some of this butter has come right up around the edge of the omelet, and that's awesome because it's going to help us make sure that nothing is sticking to the sides. So when we go to flip it and take it out of the pan, it is going to be beautiful. Okay, now while we are waiting for this to do its omelette-y thing, let's take a look at the bacon that we did a little bit earlier. Look at how beautiful this is. Now, I like my bacon a little bit chewier, and you could definitely turn this over and let it cook a little bit more. For me, I don't want to. And it's my kitchen, so I don't have to. Now, what I am going to do is set these up just on the edge of the pan. Now, this pan was full when I put it in the oven. So I'm going to set these up on the edge of the pan so that the grease can kind of drain. And then, just to make sure that everything is draining down, so we can put it in our grease. And yes, I used my fingers, but I'm the one that's going to eat it. So now I'm just going to tip this a little bit. You can put a spatula or a spoon, just something so that the grease drains down to one end. Don't tip it too much or you will have grease draining all over everywhere. So that is what that is, and I am just going to leave this drain for a wee little while. And then I'll be able to put all of that beautiful bacon grease into my bacon grease tin, and you'll see that our omelet has been busy omeleting while we've been chatting. Now I'm just letting that bubble out of there, and you can see that the grease and the nonstick pan are working so beautifully together, and this egg is cooking very gently. Now once we get this flipped over, we are going to start adding our strawberry. And yes, I know it's a different bowl, but this one has been sitting for a while. So we're going to start adding our strawberry with the basil and the sugar and the white, well, it's not sugar, it's powdered erythritol. It's funny how when you get to a point where there's nothing in your house but erythritol, and there hasn't been for years, I kind of reverted back to calling it sugar. So that's just kind of how that is. Now, if you want to use a bigger pan and do a French fold on this omelet, you absolutely can do that. But there's a reason that I'm not. And the reason that I'm not doing that is because these strawberries are so beautiful, and we took the time to slice them very thin. So I want them to show out the edge of that omelet. Now, do you want to make some whipped cream and put on top of this? Maybe a cream cheese drizzle? That seems like a really, really good idea to me. Okay, now let's see. Now this is incredibly delicate, so when you go to flip it, you have to make sure that you do it quickly and that you don't rip it. or your omelet is not going to be as beautiful as you wanted it to. Now, I am not the best egg flipper in the world, so let's see if I can do this without breaking it. There we go. Look at that. Aha! She did it. Now, if you break it when you do it, don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay, now let's start layering these strawberries in this basil. Now you want to make sure, if you're doing this, if you're just doing this so that you can eat it right away, then you don't need to worry about the strawberries being layered in there so pretty. But if you are wanting to impress your guests, then you want to make sure that you have the strawberries kind of sticking out the edge. The ones that are in the middle don't matter so much. But you want that strawberry flavor to be everywhere. So, this is what we're going to do. And we're only going halfway across because we're going to fold this omelet. And when we fold it, we're going to make sure that we have these strawberries sticking out this side. Now, 40 grams of strawberries. Let's talk about that, because strawberries are definitely a keto fruit. There's no doubt about that. But that doesn't mean that you can just eat a whole bunch. If we look at, now that's a great big clump of basil. We don't want that. So you want to make sure that you're kind of spreading this out so that you're getting all of the flavor in all of the places, so your mouth can enjoy all of the things. Now, I did not do this last week, but I am going to do it this week. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of this erythritol and strawberry juice and white wine vinegar right over top of those berries. Now, what comes next is we are going to fold this beautiful, oh, and look at that. It puffed up and cracked on me. So, there you have it. We had an omelet mishap, but that's okay. Now, the bigger the pan is that you do it in, the thinner the omelet will be. The less chance there is that you're going to be showing those berries out the edge. So I was just kind of showing off a little bit with that. Now this is done. We're going to turn it out onto a plate with the other 2 eggs so that you can see everything all together. Now I'm going to make sure that these cheesy eggs kind of stay away. I don't want them to have strawberry and basil flavor on them. And we have our burner turned off. And look at what we have created. This is amazing. It's beautiful. And it only took a few minutes. And it took us a lot more minutes because we were hanging out together and I was chatting the whole time. But you can do something like this ahead of time. You can put these in the fridge and you can take them and eat them later. This is going to make a wonderful sandwich with a little bit of homemade mayonnaise, which also only takes seconds to make. This you can, because it's a little bit sweeter, this is a wonderful thing to have on hand so that you can have it when you want just a little bit of a sweet treat. It doesn't have to take a huge amount of time. Now, let's see, because we added the juice from the berries. I'm anxious to try this. That is so good. That is lovely. You are definitely not going to be sorry. Now, we talked about the bacon. Why was I in such a rush to have folded up bacon? Let me show you why. I'm going to grab 2 pieces of our cooked bacon. Now these egg yolks are soft. And because we are keto, we are not going to have toast with it. So I dip my yolk in it. No, I don't. I dip my bacon in the yolk. Now this is an awesome way to have that same type of experience that you would with dipping your toast in your egg yolk without any carbs. 0 carbs. Well, a quarter of a carb from the eggs. So, cheesy eggs with bacon, or a sweet strawberry and basil omelet. One way or the other. Now I'm sealing off the other egg. I'm sure that will thrill Dell. But look at that. Look at how beautiful and cheesy that is. And when you pop this in your mouth, cheese and egg and salt and pepper. It is wonderful. Now, if you want to try something to dress this up a little more, look for me at a Central Alberta Farmers Market. Pick up some TSL Organics breakfast sausage seasoning. It's amazing on eggs. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate it very much, and I hope you have an amazing Sunday. Please do your very best to live your best version of this shining life. I think my best version of this shining life today is going to involve some yard work, but I will be doing it with Dell, so that makes it that much better. Less of a job. Have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you for